Hi guys, and welcome to my commentary of Jurassic World. So, Jurassic World, of course, was a entry in the Jurassic Park series. It all began back in 1993, and we have had several movies in this franchise, and I think it would be safe to say that the most popular movie is that very movie that started this franchise back in 1993. We have had, we are now on the 7 movies with the franchise. Some are more popular than others. So I am going to press the play button. If I am lucky enough to have an audience out there listening to this, thank you very much. And if anybody wants to follow along, I am looking at the Universal logo and I'm going to press play. So if you would like to take the journey to Jurassic World with me, please do so. And I think I can guarantee your safety. I do not think you will be eaten by any dinosaurs on this journey if you choose to take it with me. Thank you. I am pressing play now. Of course, we get our Universal logo. I'm very fond of this logo. It's the sort of, as I call, the nighttime logo. The music that we're hearing is very unsettling. Very, it really does create the feeling of danger lurking. We're getting a few other logos now. Um, we've had the emblem logo. We are now getting legendary. So there you go, folks. There you go. Quite a few logos. The music is now changing to something even more danger sounding. This is really pretty good music at the start of this movie. So we're now getting an egg. The title of the movie has just appeared, and now there is a claw clawing out of the egg. What could be in the egg? What is going on in the egg? We now discover that there are 2 eggs. My goodness, they are not holding back on this. Spared no expense. The little claw from the first egg is constantly moving around trying to scratch out. It's lifting off pieces of the shell, and now we see the eye of the creature. Some people believe that's a velociraptor, or the Jurassic Park, Jurassic World version of velociraptor. I would say it's the Indominus Rex. We now cut to a CGI bird. The bird has just flown away. It has decided that it wants to be in the new Gremlins 3 movie. And if there ever is a Gremlins 3 movie, I think it would get about as much love as a straight to DVD Garfield movie. First line of dialogue of the movie goes to the character of, who have we got? Do we even find out their names? Judy Greer got the first line of dialogue in the movie. Judy is one of the very popular actresses that we have. I have seen Judy in a few things. The things that really come to mind are Aporia and Entourage. I quite liked Entourage actually. And we are actually really moving along very fast because Judy is playing the mother of 2 boys who are, of course, played by Nick Robinson and Ty Simpkins. I have seen Nick in a movie called Shadow in the Cloud, which I am not a fan of. So Nick is the older brother, and if you're expecting him to be the stereotypical older brother and cause hassle for his younger sibling, you would be right. The father, of course, it takes more than one person to create children, so Judy had a little bit of help. Let's just say she had a little bit of help in creating her two children, and that help came from the actor Andy Buckley, who I have seen in the movie Alvin and the Chipmunks, and I'm not a fan of that. So Zach is played by Nick Robinson. The younger brother is, oh, what's his name? What is the younger brother called? He's Gray. So you've got Zach and Gray, Gray being the younger, Zach being the older. I like the way Andy Buckley said to his son just before they drove off, "You're not going off to war here, son," because Zach and his younger brother were saying a lot of, "I'll see you later." So these actual kids went from traveling in a car to a plane to a boat. These are some very well traveled kids. Now they are on a monorail. My goodness, these are really well traveled. What's next for the kids to travel on? Some sort of sphere type mode of transportation that always stays upright? Or is that just a little bit too far fetched? Is that just going too far to think that would ever happen? The boat scene as the people were approaching the island had some quite interesting music. It was not very exciting because I think now the filmmakers, of course, know that this is the fourth movie in the series, and we all know as an audience what is going to happen. You cannot have a Jurassic movie without bad things happening. Animals, prehistoric animals brought back to life. If they make a Jurassic movie, you know dinosaurs are going to break out, and a lot of action and death is going to await. The music is actually composed by Michael, and if I pronounce this wrong, I am sorry. The music is provided by Michael Giacchino, and as I say, if I have pronounced that wrong, I apologise. We did get a little bit of the John Williams Jurassic World music in this movie. We have just been welcomed to Jurassic World by none other than Claire Dearing, played by Bryce Dallas Howard. Bryce, of course, is a very popular actress. So Colin Trevorrow is our director, and he directed a movie called Safety Not Guaranteed. I saw that and I thought it was good. I thought it was good. He also directed Jurassic World Dominion. So he came back 2 movies later to the Jurassic franchise. He returned to the island of deadly dinosaurs. When you see the boat, or for me anyway, when I see the boat approaching the island with the guests, it's very difficult not to think of the boat as being a delivery vehicle, delivering some tasty fast food treats to a house where a group of people have put out a request for some nice Burger King burgers. What about a nice double Whopper burger cheeseburgers, chicken nuggets. I tell you, are there any Burger King fans out there? What about Subway sandwiches? I'm a big fan of Subway sandwiches. If anybody wants original cast members to return in this movie, we get that, but we get it in different ways that you might not expect. First of all, the character that really returns is BD Wong, who played Dr. Henry Wu. This is the first time we have seen BD Wong in a Jurassic movie since the very first, back in 1993. We now are in the visitor centre, which has got a huge update. This is 2015. We're getting to see other parts of the island, and I have to admit, I think the island is very overcrowded. I think there are far too many people here. We had an aerial shot where we zoomed through. That was quite impressive. So we zoomed through the people. From overhead, it looked like there were more people, but as the camera started going down a little lower, it looked like there was more space. So there's a lot of treats awaiting the dinosaurs. Bryce Dallas Howard is dressed in all white, and I think we all know that's an homage to John Hammond. We also got a visit from Mr. DNA via a hologram, and I think a visit from Mr. DNA is always popular and always welcome. I think the only people that would not appreciate an appearance from Mr. DNA are people who are sitting on death row. We find out that Claire is not going to be able to spend an awful lot of time with her nephews. There's a little bit of disappointment, but Claire, I suppose, has got a lot to deal with. We have a hologram Palosaurus. I apologize if I've spelled that wrong. There's a lot of people walking around. Jurassic World has been established. It seems as if everything is absolutely fine. And to ask the deadly question, what could possibly go wrong? So, in the visitor centre, we got the John Hammond Centre, and we got a statue of John. To me, it looked like a bronze statue. I don't think it was necessarily a real metal statue. I think it was probably either CGI or wood, plastic, maybe fiberglass. But yes, guys, there are holograms. That's right, everyone. Jurassic World has holograms. A few Jurassic movies exist, but unlike Jurassic World and Jurassic Park, there ain't no holograms. There ain't no holograms. Ellie Sattler was climbing through bleep, and she didn't think that I would hear it. That's right, Ellie wanted to see what was up with the Triceratops. A few Jurassic movies exist, but unlike Jurassic World and Jurassic Park, there ain't no holograms. We are now in the Monitor Centre, where we are introduced to the actors. Jake Johnson is playing Larry, and I think this is Lauren Lapkus. Larry is wearing a t-shirt from Jurassic Park that he got. Claire thinks it is in bad taste, and I would have to agree with Claire. Although to be fair, Claire, you did just open your dinosaur theme park on the same place where people died, so of course it would not be a Jurassic movie without a helicopter, especially a helicopter that is blue and silver. There's more blue on this helicopter than what there is silver, but in the first movie it was a silver helicopter with little bits of blue. So there's definitely a theme in the Jurassic movie franchise. All helicopters must be blue with silver, or silver with blue. So the pilot of our helicopter is Mr. Masrani, played by Irf Khan, I think is how that is pronounced. Actually, Irf Khan is sadly no longer with us. And I should also point out, if I forget to mention people who are sadly no longer with us in this movie, either cast or crew, I apologise. I definitely know that Irif Khan is sadly no longer with us. I would actually think, for me, Mr. Masrani is actually my favourite character in this movie, even though he is not in it very much. So Claire is on board the helicopter. We are on the island. We're not flying off the island. So where exactly are we going? What are we going here to see? We just had an encounter from some birds. If those birds had have got any closer to the helicopter, they probably would have been ripped up by the blades. Had it have been an aeroplane, they probably would have got sucked into the engines and brought the plane down to a mighty crash. So we are now actually going to see a brand new exhibit. That's right, folks. Jurassic World, the fourth movie in the series, is giving us something called the Indominus Rex. We're still in the helicopter, but we're almost there, folks. We're getting some more of my favourite character, Mr. Masrani. The helicopter is now being landed. And I suppose we're all excited now. What will the Indominus Rex look like? How big will it be? How strong will it be? I can assure you it is big and it is strong. The co-pilot has ran off to some bushes to vomit. I really did not think my homemade lasagna was that bad. My homemade cookies, maybe? Is that why he's boking? Boking is just a slang word for throwing up. Sorry about that. So we are finding out that the Indominus Rex from very early on was causing a lot of problems. We also find out that the two Indominus Rex, there were two created. One was because they wanted another in case one didn't die. Why not just keep two Indominus Rexes? I mean, if you keep two, you can put them in different paddocks, put them in different places, and that means you can still allow people to come and see the Indominus Rex, but you would keep it moving faster. The flow of people would move a lot faster. Why not just keep two? They only wanted a prototype as well as the real one. I would have just made two. So Mr. Masrani is starting to have a look of sheer terror on his face. He's finding out information about our deadly Indominus, our insidious Indominus Rex. So one of the abilities that the Indominus has, it can camouflage. So they built a new attraction that they want to use to get more publicity and more visitors to come and see, but it has the ability to camouflage. It has the ability to camouflage. So I don't think I need to point out the problem with that. Clara is now being told she is going to have to team up with a character called Owen Grady. That, of course, is played by Chris Pratt. So Chris Pratt's character, Owen, is going to be brought in because Mr. Masrani feels that Owen would perhaps be able to see or see any overlooked problems. And Claire did not actually seem very happy about having to team up with Owen. So there's a little pig running around. I wonder why that is. I think we have just received our answer, because now we are looking at 4 velociraptors, and now we get to see Owen Grady. So BD Wong has already made his first appearance of the movie. We got it, the Mr. DNA hologram. Now we are on to the male lead of the Jurassic World trilogy. We are now getting to see Owen. Owen is clearly training velociraptors. Charlie, Echo, Blue, and Delta are the Jurassic Raptors in this movie. Jurassic Park / World Raptors are actually really a dinosaur, and if I pronounce this wrong, I apologize. They are really, those animals are really Deinonychus, and I probably have pronounced that wrong. We do see that Owen does have the ability to have an influence on the velociraptors. We're getting some other characters right now. We're getting Hoskins. I think his name is Vic Hoskins, played by Vincent D'Onofrio. And for me, I mostly associate Vincent D'Onofrio with the television series Law and Order: Criminal Intent. So Vincent has, for me, he's really made an imprint on me with that television series. Every time I see Vincent, that's what I think about, that television series. My grandparents, actually, on my mother's side of the family, used to love crime shows, and they're sadly no longer with us. But I think that's just part of life, really, isn't it? We lose people that we love. So Vic Hoskins has an idea that perhaps velociraptors can be used in combat, and I'm going to say that's a bad idea. It's an idea, but I think it's a bad one. We now see the character Barry, played by Omar Sy. I like Omar Sy, I really do. The character of Chris Pratt, Owen Grady, I just don't think Owen Grady is a Jurassic character. We don't. The Jurassic movies have never had big barreled muscle men as their lead roles. I really just don't. I just do not like the character of Owen Grady at all. I like Chris Pratt, and I think he is very good in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. Vic Hoskins is still trying to persuade Owen that velociraptors can be used in combat. I'm gonna do this commentary with the belief you have already seen the movie. So I'm sure you realise that the velociraptors are given the chance to perform in a military setup in this movie. It actually created one of the posters for the movie. I'm sure we all remember the poster of Owen Grady speeding through the jungle at night on a motorbike with the little light shining, surrounded by velociraptors. It was on the poster and it was in the trailer. We now see someone has just tried to save a pig, but in doing so has fallen into the velociraptor paddock, and it all looks like it's going to end in death. Oh no. So Owen has ordered security not to shoot the velociraptors. Owen feels that he can save the Jurassic worker that has fallen into the pen, as well as getting himself out as well. We do see a raptor has just tried to bite Owen Grady. If you remember the first Jurassic, you will know, of course, that velociraptors attack from the side. We can actually see that that's sort of what they're trying to achieve here. Barry is looking horrified. Owen has ordered the gate to be closed, but guess what, folks? Owen is still in the Jurassic Velociraptor paddock. He now does a roll out, the gate is closed, and Vic Hoskins thinks this is a good thing because there could have been two potential deaths. But Owen Grady was able to prevent that. I still would probably need more proof that velociraptors can be used in combat than this. But I think Vic seems to think everything has turned out okay for that theory. So Vic Hoskins is more than likely what you would call the villain in this particular movie. Most Jurassic movies have a human who is a villain. Vic would really be this movie's version of a human villain. So we now cut from our genetically engineered velociraptors. There were four. I think I already mentioned their names. Charlie, Blue, Echo, and Delta. Or as I call them, Donatello, Michelangelo, Leonardo, and Raphael. So we now, of course, are back with Zack and Gray. They are being babysitted by someone. The babysitter is called Zara. And if you have seen this movie, you will see the death that the character of Zara gets. Zara is played by Katie McGrath. And she is clearly not the best babysitter because Zack and Gray have escaped her clutches. We see a goat. We see a red flower. What could that mean? It means, of course, that's right. Somebody out there is sacrificing someone because they beat them at a game of poker. No, it's the Tyrannosaurus Rex feeding scene in this movie. The scene was very brief. Most Jurassic fans love the Tyrannosaurus Rex, either in real life or in these movies. That was a very brief scene with the Tyrannosaurus Rex. I don't think it's enough to satisfy the fans of the creature. I thought it was too brief. We also had the camera behind a lot of people. Now we are getting Claire talking to her sister. So there's a divorce happening, and I mean it's a very common thing with Jurassic movies that people have got parents who are divorced or getting divorced. But it appears that Judy Greer no longer wants to be married to Andy Buckley, and Andy Buckley seems to want out of this marriage as well. The telephone call has ended. Claire is in her car with a nice Volkswagen logo. Where is Claire travelling to? She has parked her car and got out. And now we get to see Owen and Claire interacting with each other for the first, but not the last time of the movie. Owen is having some cola. He's fixing his motorbike. He's got a little caravan. Seems to be another motorbike type vehicle, a nice little red bike. So Owen is now finding out that he has been requested to come to the Indominus Rex paddock to take a look to see if anything can be spotted. If you have seen this movie, you will know how that turns out. Owen is telling Claire that he does not control the velociraptors. It's a relationship built on trust. If Owen Grady thinks you can trust velociraptors, I do not think he should be working on this island. But then again, I don't suppose Dennis Nedry should have either been working on the island. Owen, of course, is not a villain the way Dennis was. So how many people out there are fans of the character of Owen Grady? Who would be your favourite Jurassic character? What is your favourite Jurassic movie? Some more dialogue taking place between Owen and Claire? Claire's car seems to sometimes to me look a little bit silver and a little bit white depending on the angle and lighting. If you are a fan of Bryce Dallas Howard or Chris Pratt, you will be glad to know that they lead the entire trilogy. They are the main leads in the whole Jurassic World series. Actually, we're now on to our third trilogy or third series. I wouldn't be surprised if there was another 4 Jurassic movies. Jurassic World Rebirth, of course, is our 7th movie. We now are back with Zack and Gray, and we get to see a shark dangling like a worm on a hook. And that, of course, is bait. When I say bait, I do not mean it has been beat by the Little Mermaid. It is bait for something called the Indominus. Sorry, the Mosasaurus. There you go, folks. I'm delivering you a Jurassic World commentary. What could possibly go wrong? But I assure you, nobody is going to be eaten on my commentary. I will keep you safe if you're out there listening to this. I will not let you be eaten. You will not be eaten by a dinosaur. I will make sure of that. Trust me, I will make sure you do not get eaten by a dinosaur. If you go for a walk through the jungle with no weapons, I cannot guarantee that you will not be eaten. You might get a visit from a lion or a tiger. Owen Grady is in the viewing area of the Indominus paddock. The Indominus Rex is very much made up of different dinosaurs. The dinosaurs in themselves in these movies are also made up with frog DNA and so on and so forth. There were only ever two novels for these movies, actually. 7 movies, but 2 novels. Steven Spielberg has directed 2 movies in this series. Colin Trevorrow has directed 2 movies in this series. So Stephen and Colin, they are the only people that had directed more than one Jurassic movie in the series. Everybody else, came and went, really. Stephen and Colin were the only ones that returned as directors. I think at one point Colin Trevorrow was being linked to direct Star Wars or a Star Wars movie. Bryce Dallas Howard was in a movie called Deep Cover that I have not seen. She was also in Star Wars Tales of a Jedi. I have not seen that either. My favourite character in this movie, Mr. Masrani, the actor, Irfan Khan, I think I probably pronounced that name 4 different ways in this entire commentary. He was in a movie called Jazba, and I think the other movie that most people will recognise him from is Life of Pi, which I think is a brilliant movie. So what do you think about our main cast or our supporting cast? What do you think their other movies? What are their other movies that you really like? So we all know that Alan Grant and Ian Malcolm were characters that led the first trilogy, but we do get to see the character of Ian Malcolm, I think, in 2 scenes in this movie, all on the back of a book. First read on the monorail by Zara, and secondly, we see the same book sitting on Laurie's desk. Laurie and his work colleague seem to constantly communicate with each other. The idea is that the Indominus Rex has escaped from the paddock. Now, there was a tracker device in the Indominus Rex. If something that size did climb over a wall, I think it would be known that it happened. I don't think it can be discreet. Well, I don't think you can discreetly climb over a wall if you're slightly bigger than a Tyrannosaurus Rex without attracting some attention. I actually think that this thing, of course, I'm sure you as well all think this is very stupid, that the characters would go straight in to the paddock. They go straight into the paddock. There is technology that has been able to inform the Jurassic workers that the Indominus is based in the paddock. So why not just have that technology right there in the viewing area? Claire is listening to all this over the phone. She is in clear distress. She knows something bad is happening, but she does not know exactly what is happening. And following a trend in this movie, dinosaurs, or in this case the Indominus, they escape because of some very stupid designs and some very serious mistakes on behalf of humans. The Indominus breaks out because the gate that the park worker wanted to use to escape was the size to accommodate a killer dinosaur. Of course, the question is, why do they not just have a separate door for human beings? In fact, why even have a door at all? Why even not just have a space in a wall that is human sized? I don't think anybody's just going to wander in by mistake. Why even have a gate or a door to? Why even have that in the first place? You have to wait until that opens. And by that stage, the hot breath of the dinosaur can probably be felt in the back of your neck. But anyway, folks, the Indominus is loose and it has devoured two workers. Owen Grady is also on the menu, but Owen Grady has managed to hide under a truck. We see the blood on the Indominus Rex. We see it in its mouth. Owen is sweating profusely. He has covered himself in petrol to ward off an Indominus attack. Whatever you do, folks, do not use petrol on a night out for a date. So there is a deathly silence in the control room, the monitoring area. Claire has just requested that we all remain calm. But considering the Indominus Rex is on the loose, I do not think that will happen. I think Claire will be disappointed. Mr. Masrani is also here alongside Claire. Mr. Masrani feels that they should try to actually recapture the Indominus. Claire has now decided to bring in a company called ACU. And what does that stand for? I'm sure if you've seen this movie, you will know. Asset Containment Unit. Or is it Asset Control Unit? Well, I can guarantee you the Indominus will eat more. Our buffet has just begun. Vic Hoskins. Vic is having a conversation with Barry. He is promoting the idea that the velociraptors can be used as weapons. He really is dedicated to this belief, isn't he? I tell you, this guy would never walk out on his family and just leave them. He seems to be pretty dedicated. My grandparents, man, my goodness, they really did love those types of cop shows. Think the Law and Order cop shows. Those Law and Order shows were really popular. They really were. Barry is being contacted. Barry has just found out. Asset out of containment has been reported. Vic Hoskins now thinks this could be a chance to let the Raptors roam. And it does happen. Remember, I'm approaching this as if you've seen this movie. Does anybody remember the Gallimimus scene from the first movie? Well, guess what? We're getting another Gallimimus scene. I think the CGI Gallimimus in this movie, for me, they look far better than the Gallimimus in Jurassic Park. We cut to the monorail, with of course none other than Zack and Gray. Zack clearly has his eye on some of the girls nearby. Gray has revealed that actually our parents are getting divorced. And Gray has started to cry. He's upset. He does not want his parents to split up. His older brother is now telling him off for crying, which I think is very hurtful. I mean, surely to goodness, if your parents are getting divorced, you can understand why your sibling would be so upset. I mean, this is horrible. He should really know that this is one of those times where you can accept the sadness and a little bit of tears, I suppose. Although maybe he's just embarrassed because his brother is crying in front of the girls that he is clearly interested in. Although he does already have a partner. So, what kind of person is Zach? Well, Zach did not cheat, I suppose. He did not cheat. He was talking. Although I do think he probably would have took it further if he had the opportunity. Owen Grady has now entered the monitoring area. The monitoring area is getting full. There's a lot of people coming here, I tell you. This seems to be the place to be. Asset Containment Unit have now arrived to take down the Indominus Rex. But, as we all know, it is the Indominus Rex that takes down the Asset Containment Unit. Owen Grady now realises that the ACU are entering the area with non-lethal weapons. The idea is not to kill the Indominus, but to bring it back. And I just think that we all know what's going to happen. Even if you're watching this movie for the first time, you just know that these men and women are not coming back. We see that the Indominus has clawed out its tracker. That's a very clever animal, I tell you. So the Velociraptors are meant to be intelligent, but I think the Indominus could quite easily rival the Raptors. It could really quite easily rival the Velociraptors. People who have seen the first movie will remember the glass of water droplets falling in different directions. The Jurassic World version of that is blood drops falling in different directions. So the Indominus has the ability to camouflage, and it has used its ability to camouflage. And remember, there is non-lethal weapons being used. So, non-lethal weapons being used against the Indominus Rex. Who is going to win this fight? To be honest with you, the Indominus is not just biting, it's grabbing with its claws and throwing people about. The Tyrannosaurus Rex does not have claws that can really do that, does it? Those claws are very small. I'm not a dinosaur expert, but does anybody out there even know if those T-Rex claws actually ever really did anything? I mean, was there any advantage that a Tyrannosaurus Rex had from those little small front legs at the top? Could those little arms, those little legs or whatever, could they actually provide any advantage for the Tyrannosaurus Rex? Back to the control room, and Owen is telling Claire just how bad things really are, and you have really messed up. I completely agree with you, Owen. Owen wants to kill the Indominus. Claire says we have got families here and we're not going to turn the island into a war zone. but Owen has made it clear that that has already happened. Owen Grady versus the Indominus Rex. Who will win? How will the Indominus Rex be taken down? What is going to happen to the guests of Jurassic World that unfortunately we do not get a chance to really know? I thought that was a real bad thing about this movie. When you see the amount of guests that are in Jurassic World, I would have liked to have had some scenes where we followed some of those guests and got to know them a little bit. Because for Jurassic World, it's an already established theme park. So there's going to be hotels, I would say. There are shops, there are restaurants. We've already seen that. So when when animals break free, I would have liked to have had a scene where a velociraptor was walking around the corridors of a hotel and it somehow got in to a guest room and it walked around the guest accommodation. The guest in question was in the shower, and you could have had a nice little moment where you can see the velociraptor standing outside of the shower, and we could either have a glass shield or a shower curtain where you see either the raptor or the silhouette slash shadow. And I'm sure you know what kind of a movie or what movie that actually sort of thing appeared in. The killer outside the shower just waiting there. The velociraptor could have then ripped the shower curtain off or broken the glass and used its claws to kill. Again, you probably know what movie I'm taking inspiration from, but that did not happen in this movie. I really would have liked to have seen a lot of more, a lot more scenes with the guests. Things like that, the raptor outside the shower. I thought that would have been a good idea. I would have actually liked to have seen a triceratops getting on the loose and charging around the place. I think that would have been interesting. If you've seen this movie, you already know that we do get a series or a group of animals terrorizing the guests. But again, the guests, I mean, they might as well be empty boxes of cornflakes. They're just cornflakes boxes, really. We don't get to learn anything about them at all. So the Pteranodons and the Dimorphodons, if you're a fan of those dinosaurs, or some people say the Pteranodon is not really a dinosaur, but if you're a fan of flying killer beasts, then you will probably be happy. You will be happy probably because the Pteranodons and the Dimorphodons do play quite a part in this movie. They play a bigger part, I think, than the Tyrannosaurus Rex. Think about the logos of these movies. The skeleton is always the Tyrannosaurus Rex. Of course, Jurassic Park 3 decided to go with the Spinosaurus skeleton, but then in more recent years that has been replaced with the Tyrannosaurus Rex. So here, of course, we're getting the gyrosphere thing. My goodness. Cars, planes, boats, and now gyrospheres. Zack and Gray really do know how to travel. They know how to get around. And if anybody is thinking that they're hallucinating here because they see Jimmy Fallon in a Jurassic movie, guess what? Do not worry, you are not hallucinating. That is Jimmy Fallon giving us a little guide on how to use the gyrosphere, telling us how strong it is. Zach and Gray are really enjoying this. Zach has just said, "Where are all the dinosaurs?" Oh, sorry, that was actually Gray. "Where are all the dinosaurs?" And then we actually see that the gyrosphere is actually kind of right in front of the dinosaurs with nothing blocking the view of Zach or Gray. So, seriously, Gray, I think those animals were definitely there all along. You really should have been able to see those. As we know, the Indominus has broke out, so the gyrosphere ride is being cancelled and everybody must return. But the gyrosphere is not on any set of tracks, and by the looks of things, there is no way that Jurassic World workers can take control of the gyrosphere and bring it back when needed. So Zack and Gray are free to roam in the gyrosphere, while Claire monitors different people on the island. We know that there is something wrong. The guests have been told that they must go to a location and gather, put them all together, which of course has been pointed out, I think, by dinosaur experts, that you're just going to increase the sense of smell, which is really food to a dinosaur. The Indominus really is some creature. Can turn invisible. It can rip its own tracking claw out. I'm pretty sure if you give this thing a chance, it would be able to build a space station. I wonder, would it be able to paint walls and ceilings? Or if somebody has a broken car, would the Indominus Rex be able to fix that? Laurie in the control room has a look on his face that almost says this was always going to happen. Well, if that's the case, why bother working there? This is an island with dinosaurs, and you cannot get off this island without air or sea transport. You cannot get into a car and drive off. In the first movie, we see just how vulnerable people are on these islands. It seems to be easy to get to these places, but it seems very difficult to get away from them. Owen and Claire are communicating with a little less hostility. Claire is informing Owen that they are going to have to go out into the park to bring back her nephews, just like John Hammond requested from Robert Muldoon in the very first Jurassic Park. Take a gas-powered jeep, go into the park and find Lex and Tim. I think Zach is very similar to Tim. The gyrosphere has stopped in front of a group of Ankylosaurus. We first saw the Ankylosaurus. I think they made their first appearance in Jurassic Park 3. I don't think they were in the first or second. But something that was not in the first, second, or third movie is actually right behind the gyrosphere, and that is Ron Weasley. No, I'm joking. That is the Indominus Rex. The gyrosphere has just been knocked about like a pinball, but it remains upright. The Indominus is more distracted by an Ankylosaurus roaring. The Ankylosaurus has been described as being a living army tank. The tail of the Ankylosaurus was meant to hit the Indominus, but accidentally hit the gyrosphere, causing the gyrosphere to go upside down. So there you go, folks. We were told it would always remain upright, but in less than 5 seconds, Zack and Gray are upside down. So I doubt the company that makes the gyrosphere probably are not going to exist for very much longer. Although where else would you even need a gyrosphere for if you think about it? Where else would even use those things? A little homage from the first movie, because now we see the Indominus Rex wants to have a little peek inside the gyrosphere. We get the eye scene, which in this movie is CGI. That's right. In the first movie, it was an animatronic. The Indominus has grabbed the gyrosphere. The animal is looking in. Gray is actually trying his best not to look at the animal. They close their eyes and yeah, this is bad. Yeah, these kids think they're going to die. They really do. For us, this is a movie, but for them, this is reality. Seatbelts off. Zack and Gray, with a little continuity mistake, land on their fronts. They land frontward on the ground. The continuity mistake. They are now being chased by the Indominus. Zack and Gray they had a little bit of a head start, but the Indominus is gaining, and it is not stopping. It's not going to stop. It's going to continue. And Zack and Gray have decided to jump down a waterfall. Well, at least they did not get eaten. I do like this scene of the waterfall and the Indominus walking around. When it stomps, it steps in the puddles and causes water to splosh up. I think that's a good touch. I do like that. I think the CGI in this movie is very hit and miss. I think the Indominus is definitely the most frightening animal we've had in the series. When it comes to the bad CGI, I think the Mosasaurus looks the most fake out of everything in this movie. I just think the Mosasaurus was the one animal they could just not get to look convincing. Did you think that the Mosasaurus was convincing looking? What do you think about the CGI in this movie? What do you think about the CGI in other Jurassic movies? I remember actually when this movie coming out, I remember a lot of the toys. I remember walking by shops and going through shopping centres, shopping malls or whatever, things like that, and I remember seeing a lot of dinosaur action figures from this movie, but not that many human action figures. I have a friend actually who's a few years older than me, and he actually apparently he had pretty much every action figure from the first movie, and apparently he had the vehicles, and I think he mentioned about having a visitor center diorama. And not that long ago, I was with this particular friend, and we were in his house, and he had, before I got to his house actually, he wanted to find his Jurassic toys from the first movie. He wanted to find all the action figures, the humans, the dinosaurs, the diorama, and the vehicles. He was unsuccessful at finding everything that he had, but what he could find was two action figures, and the action figures were of Dr. Alan Grant and Robert Muldoon. And for some reason, When I saw the Dr. Alan Grant action figure, the first thing that I asked was, can Dr. Alan Grant take his hat off? Can you take the hat off? The answer to the question is no, not in the first toy line. And the Robert Muldoon action figure, even though Robert does wear a hat in the first Jurassic, his action figure did not come with a hat. He was hatless. And I don't know anybody out there if you've seen the original toy line or not. I've only seen two action figures, so I can't comment on everything. I thought that the Dr. Alan Grant action figure looked very much like Alan Grant, but the Robert Muldoon action figure, I think that the build was very wrong. Robert Muldoon action figure looked like a big bodybuilder, he really did look very bulky. In the movie, he is not really that bulky. The actual head sculpt of Robert Muldoon, the head sculpt did it did not look like Robert Muldoon. It looked like a completely different person on a completely different age as well. The action figure looked like a guy who was about 25 years old. And if you have seen the first Jurassic movie, maybe you've got a different opinion, but I do not think Robert Muldoon is 25 years old. So Claire and Owen have entered the restricted area to look for Zack and Gray. The waterfall has been discovered. Just like the first movie, we get footprints in the mud. Claire has decided to call the names of her nephews. Owen Grady is advising Claire that screaming on an island with dinosaurs is not a good idea. But she is desperate to find her nephews. When the Indominus broke out, there was a request to evacuate the island. To that request, Claire responded with the dialogue, "We'll never reopen." So Claire was more concerned about money than the safety of people. And for me, that makes the character of Claire very difficult to like. I like the actress. I've seen Bryce Dallas Howard in a few things. But my goodness, this is my least favourite Bryce Dallas Howard character. For me, Chris Pratt, very much Guardians of the Galaxy. That's what I really watch with Chris Pratt. Apart from this trilogy, of course. Zack and Gray, as mentioned, jumped into a waterfall to escape the Indominus. And now we see Zack and Gray wandering. This jungle has been abandoned, which means it is overgrown. There's a lot of darkness. It's still daytime, but there are so many trees and overgrown hedges and bushes that the light has really been diminished. A little bit of nostalgia music. Zack has noticed something. What could it be? Well, it is the visitor center from the first movie. I'm sure we all smiled and got excited when we saw this. The iconic doors have now been pushed open. Jurassic World meets Jurassic Park. The inside of the visitor center has become overgrown. The scaffolding that our characters use to climb down is there. The skeleton is there. The banner "When Dinosaurs Ruled the World" is there. For me, this scene, they bring us back to somewhere nostalgic that we kind of probably all wanted to see. But the scene is so dark and so much of the building is covered with overgrowth that we don't really get to see anything really. We got to see the skeleton a little bit, the scaffolding, and we find out that Zack gave his brother Gray a box of matches for some reason. I'm not sure why that is. In order to get to Jurassic World, Zack and Gray had to travel by plane and boat, which of course is public transportation. So high on Earth, would you be allowed as a minor, a teenager to do that? Why not just use your phone? I mean, in this entire scene, instead of setting a dinosaur bone on fire, in other words, fossil fuel, why not just have these kids use the light on their mobile phone? This is 2015. By this stage, mobile phones were pretty advanced. Mobile phones slash cell phones were pretty advanced. So the whole idea of Jurassic World is about a new era, new technology, and how Jurassic World differs from Jurassic Park, and the way that they embrace the modern technology. The movie has this message that people nowadays are very different from what they were back in 1993, and that nowadays it's difficult to impress people. If you look at Zack throughout this movie, Zack is definitely difficult to please because he doesn't really look at dinosaurs that much. A lot of the time he likes to look at his phone or other people. This guy would actually be a nightmare to buy presents for, like for his birthday. What would you get somebody like that who is not impressed by dinosaurs? Because the way the movie presents the characters, it suggests that this is their first time on the island. So why on earth are you not wanting to look at dinosaurs every chance you get? Every now and again, Zack will look at something going on around him, but most of the time he's looking at his phone or just talking to other people. I would not want to have to buy presents for this guy because you could buy Zack a PlayStation 7, which doesn't not even exist yet. You could work for Sony, and because you work for Sony, you get these little perks. You get things before they are released to the public. You could give Zack a PlayStation 7, and now we're on to PlayStation 5. You give this guy a PlayStation 7, he's probably not going to be impressed. My favourite character has donned the helicopter again. This time he wants to go out with military to kill the Indominus Rex. Because as we have seen, trying to subdue the animal and bring it back did not work. It really did not work. That plan fell apart very quickly actually. The ACU unit, they were taken out in less than 2 minutes, I think. I think that scene probably just lasted for about 1 minute and probably 50 seconds. So Zack and Gray have established some nice nostalgia. We get a little bit of the goggles so famously used by Tim in the first Jurassic. And now, of course, folks, this is definitely this is a real big welcome for the fans of the series. We are now getting the grey Jeep Wrangler YJ Sahara. In other words, the grey Jeep. Owen and Claire are not far behind. They themselves are in the nostalgia area. Zach actually was able to get the grey Jeep fixed. So the grey Jeep is once again roaming Jurassic Park. It's been a while since that happened. Of course, if this was real life, you would not be able to do that. The oil that Zach uses would be out of date. Oil would not last that long. The car itself was just in real bad condition, although it actually was not as bad as it probably would have been or should have been. So there you go, folks. Zach and Gray are riding off in nostalgia, and I absolutely love those grey Jeeps. Owen and Claire have got a visit from the Indominus. We're getting a scene where they're hiding in front of another grey Jeep. The Indominus has left the building. The Indominus has entered the building. So now this is the turn of Owen and Claire to be chased by the Indominus. And yes, folks, the high heels, they do not come off. The entire movie, Claire is running in high heels. And you have to be honest, I have to be honest, that's pretty impressive. The ability for the Indominus to actually turn invisible. In the Jurassic World novel, there was a dinosaur called Catarnosaurus. And in the Jurassic World novel, the Catarnosaurus could turn invisible / camouflage. I do like a lot of the scenes in the helicopter when we're flying above the island. It does look very much like they returned to Hawaii. And even though I have only seen Hawaii on film before in the Jurassic movies and in a few other movies, I have never been to Hawaii, but I think Hawaii looks beautiful. I really do. I think it looks beautiful. I have had family members who have been to Hawaii on holiday. I have had family members who have taken trips to Hawaii. So a little earlier on, I think I might have mentioned about Pteranodons and Dimorphodons playing a big part in this movie. And we now have got the Pteranodons and the Dimorphodons on the loose. And they are causing problems for the helicopter and the crew of the helicopter. Mr. Masrani is the only person who is still alive on the helicopter. Unfortunately, that is going to pretty much end right now. In fact, it has just happened. The helicopter was damaged and it went out of control. And sadly, Mr. Masrani, along with some other people, of course, their characters have not survived. I actually wonder if they could have done something like this in 1993. Would they have had the technology to create a scene like that for the first Jurassic movie, with flying dinosaurs attacking helicopters and helicopters going out of control and spinning around and falling through glass domes and blowing up in the flames? We did have to wait a while in these Jurassic movies to see flying animals. We really did have to wait a while for that. We get one at the end of The Lost World, but does not really do anything in the movie, really. Zack and Gray are still travelling in nostalgia. The Pteranodons and the Morphodons are above, they are overhead, and I do think it would be difficult to get out of the way of a Pteranodon slash or and Dimorphodon gang. I think these animals would be very difficult to get away from. I really do. They are deadly. They really are. The guests and some of the park workers are running around. As this is a Jurassic movie, I have really got to say we are in complete chaos. There you go, folks. I had to say that. You know why? You know why. If you're a fan of the movies, that is, you'll know why I wanted to say chaos. Can I please say that again? Can I just say it again? Since this is a Jurassic movie, I'm going to. Will we go for it? Will I go for it, guys? Yes. Chaos. There's now a sounding of an alarm to let people know that they are in danger, although they already knew they were in danger to begin with, so I don't quite get where the alarm is coming from and why it is being sounded. We already know, the guests already know that all is not well. They already know that. Whenever people sound an alarm, we've heard that sort of alarm in movies before, maybe in real life. I always think that alarm sounds so intense that it just makes things worse. What if they actually had an alarm that sounded nice and calm and relaxing? You know, like just a little bit of a piano tone, and tell people that if they hear this particular sound, that means danger. So they still know that they have to maybe be alert. But if you have a slightly lighter tone of danger alarm, maybe that would actually help to calm things a little bit more. Now, the question is, why are the people still on the island? Just like Jurassic Park, why do they not have constant boats and helicopters? Because this is an island and you cannot drive to and from this place. If any animal gets out, then I mean, come on, why just not have the ability to be able to get off the island at all times? This is, of course, one of the most violent deaths in the entire series. This is the death of Zara, and she is screaming underwater. Okay. Zack and Gray are watching in horror as their babysitter is being lifted up and down by pteranodons. Then the Mosasaurus decides, I would like to have a snack. Thank you very much. So, a lot of people do think that is the most violent death in the entire series. I think it's a contender. There is another death in this series that I think could possibly be the most violent, and I'll talk about that a little later. So the Pteranodon Dimorphodon thing is still taking place. We're still very much in this thing. Few buildings being destroyed. The Hammond Centre, we can still see the Hammond Centre in the background. Owen is actually now being attacked by a Dimorphodon. Its jaws are snapping away. Claire has knocked the dinosaur off Owen. Then she shoots the Dimorphodon. So Claire has saved Owen's life. Her nephews Zack and Gray have witnessed what their aunt has done. Owen and Claire are now kissing, and now Zack and Gray look Less than impressed. Auntie and nephews have been reunited. We're together. If you have seen this movie, you will know that Zack and Gray love Owen. They really love this guy. They think they really do like this guy. So Owen's got a gun, a nice big green gun that looks like that gun is a statement, and that statement is anybody holding that gun, the statement, I mean business. InGen have now taken over. The monitoring room is being emptied. The Masrani Corporation, the Masrani Corporation are being relieved of their duties via Vic Hoskins. You're out, we're in. However, Laurie decides he will stay behind. Laurie is informing Claire of exactly what is happening, and as Owen and Claire are beside each other, Owen has now heard that Vic wants to finally get the Raptors on the loose. So things are going to get worse. Huge gates have just been pushed open by the public. Claire, Owen, Zack and Gray are now in a jeep. No, not that jeep, but a nice Jurassic World jeep. Silver and blue and Volkswagen. The original jeeps were Ford, of course. There was the grey jeep and the yellow slush green jeep. We now cut to night time. It's night time now. Vic is looking very happy with himself. He's looking at the velociraptors, or this movie's version of velociraptors. So Vic and his vicious plan, it's all coming together, folks. We are very much being informed that yes, these raptors are going to be unleashed. However, Owen has turned up in his nice shiny Jurassic World vehicle. He has a nice message, or he has a very bad message for Vic. A punch in the face. Fair play to Vic though. He really took that quite well. Claire has also informed Vic that she feels that he is a son of A. Follow that word up with a word that begins with B. Female dog. Think about a female dog. How about that? Owen and Barry and Claire are just horrified. They are horrified that this is happening. And I just love the way Vic, he is really happy about this. He is like, oh, this is the greatest idea ever. He really thinks this cannot go wrong. He really does. He is clearly out of touch with reality. You're letting deadly animals out to take down another deadly animal. That's just like trying to put out a fire by lighting another fire. So the Indominus is a huge target, and we have to remember the tracking device has been pulled out. The Indominus was able to pull out its own tracking device, so you would think it would be difficult to find the Indominus in a huge jungle. Now we're at night time as well. This is actually, I think, the only Jurassic movie not to feature rain, which is odd because when the Jeep pulls up with Owen, Claire, Zach, and Gray. When the Jeep pulls up, they drive over a puddle and water splashes out. So I have not seen any rain so far in this movie. Or was that puddle perhaps something else? Did somebody maybe have a little bit too much to drink? Oh, what was that liquid? I wonder what that was. Oh, yeah, there was no rain. Okay, maybe it was sweat. Maybe somebody was having a really good workout over that hole in the ground. That's just, maybe that's sweat, maybe. That could be sweat. Zack and Gray have been placed in a truck. So there you go. Zack and Gray continue to travel in vehicles. You just know that these kids are going to drive everywhere for the rest of their lives. Like when they are adults, when they are adults, I mean, if they have a friend that lives across the street, they are probably just going to drive to that friend. I do like the way the character Zack is trying to comfort his younger brother. I do think that's a good touch. I said earlier about him being very nasty with his brother, and I thought it was uncalled for, but I like the way he is now. He realizes that they're in this situation, and he appreciates the danger. They have almost died, I would say, by this point, maybe 2 or 3 times. They have seen animals and dinosaurs attacking people and stuff like that, and I like the way he's being a lot more caring with his younger brother. He's also trying to build his confidence up a little bit as well, pointing out things that Gray has done that he appreciates. So how do we find the Indominus tracks without the tracker? Well, we take the tracker and let Velociraptors, Donatello, Leonardo, Michelangelo, and Raphael, we let them smell the tracker so we can find the Indominus. 4 raptors are on the loose. The jungle is dark. The raptors are fast. They have got these little devices that allow Vic to monitor what they see. Claire is also looking. Zack and Gray would like to have a little look. Now we get the motorbike. And this is not my favourite Jurassic movie, but I love this scene. In the jungle at night, Chris Pratt, Owen Grady, driving through the jungle at night, surrounded by velociraptors. What do you think about this particular scene? I love this, I really do. I love the noises that the velociraptors make. They do carry over a lot of the same noises from the other movies, which I like. I don't feel that it gets repetitive or anything like that. I don't think it's repetitive. No, it's not repetitive. Repetitive. It's not repetitive. No, it's not repetitive. Repetitive. No, sorry, sorry about that. I just could not help myself. So Barry is also, well, he is on like a quad type vehicle. We call those quads. I think people say they're quad bikes, something like that. I wanted one of those when I was a little bit younger, but I never got one. But the experience has not scarred me for not getting my little motorbike. I do not feel that it has harmed me in any way. Claire does not want her nephews to see what might be about to happen, although they were able to open the shelter or the little doorway or the little space in the truck, so If they want to see what's happening, they could just open that little gap again. The Indominus Rex has arrived into our night jungle scene. There are human beings pointing guns with lasers, which looks very cool. The actual red laser lights are sort of shining around all over the Indominus Rex. However, the raptors are not attacking. Owen thinks he realizes why that is. So Owen, could you please tell us, why are the raptors not attacking the Indominus? That thing's part raptor. Is that what you just said, Owen? Yeah? Yes, folks. So the raptors are not going to attack the Indominus. They are going to attack the humans. Although, to be fair, the humans did have their guns pointed at the Indominus for quite a while, and they chose not to fire their guns. Somebody has actually just launched a rocket launcher. A good time to have done that would have been when the Indominus Rex was standing right in front of you, completely still, because the Indominus was looking at the Velociraptors for a lot of the time. However, the person decides to launch the rocket when the Indominus is already running away after the gun attack. I'm not even sure why that is. The Indominus has already been under attack from vehicles and weapons, and it kind of usually just charges at people when that happens. So, this is a scene in the jungle at night. Human beings are walking around overgrown grass with 4 velociraptors on the loose. I think this is an intense scene, but I think it could have been more intense. People are dying. The velociraptors are taking off where they're taking up where they left off, really. I think out of all the Jurassic movies, I think the raptors would be the ones that have claimed the most lives. I think they have actually killed the most people in this franchise, I really do. Owen and Blue kind of made eye contact there amid the chaos of rocket launchers and guns and people being eaten. Obviously, if you watch The Lost World, you see there is a long grass scene with velociraptors and people. So Barry is still alive. It's always good to see Barry. And just like The Lost World, do you remember the scene where Sarah Harding has to hide from Stegosaurus and she climbs into a branch? The Stegosaurus then attacks the branch with its tail, but no contact is made with Sarah. There's kind of a similar scene here with Barry hiding in a tree branch. Barry hid in a tree branch, and a velociraptor tried to get into him with its claws. It was Blue, however, and Owen was able to use his motorbike engine. He revved his motorbike up there a little bit to get Blue to stop attacking Barry. I'm not sure if Owen actually ever did that. I don't know when Owen would have been able to have got his motorbike and trained Blue to stop doing whatever it was doing once it heard that. But it saved the life of Barry, so I guess it's okay. We now get a bloody handprint on the window of the truck being driven by Claire. We now get a velociraptor that has just smashed through the glass of the door. However, the velociraptor has fallen out of the vehicle, but the vehicle is now being pursued by 2 raptors. You will know that velociraptors are very fast, and they are gaining on the Jeep. A little more danger has been added to the scene because the back doors of the Jeep are wide open, and of course, Zack and Gray are in the back of the truck with wide open doors. while velociraptors approach and attack. Velociraptors are fast, and they can jump pretty good. It sounds like I'm actually describing an Olympian and an Olympic athlete here, doesn't it? They can run fast and jump high. However, Zack and Gray have proved to be capable of dealing with raptor attack. The attacking raptor were pretty much seen. They saw those raptors off pretty good. Claire has just informed Larry that they are coming back to the monitoring room and for a helicopter to be ordered. Again, why not just have helicopters already here? Surely to goodness, people who are guests here have the ability to get sick. I mean, what if somebody has a heart attack when they're on this island? What if the dinosaurs are all still locked up, but somebody has a heart attack? What way? I mean, isn't that kind of just creating more trouble for yourself? And I know they have to have people here on the island for these movies to work. I get that. But I still think there are other ways to do things. Just have dinosaurs preventing people from leaving the island. Then you can say at least you had that escape route in place. And then you just have other rescue come after the first set of vehicles fail. Just have another group of planes or helicopters or boats coming in because the first lot did not go well, and as people were evacuating they were being attacked. Some people escaped and got off the island, some people didn't. Come back for the ones that didn't. So Claire was talking to Laurie in the control room, and Laurie, of course, I think I said was played by Jake Johnson. I can't remember if I've actually given his name or not. I do like Laurie. I I'm not going to say he is my favourite Jurassic character. He's not even my favourite character in this movie. But I like Laurie. Henry Wu, played by B.D. Wong, has managed to escape in an Indian helicopter. But you really do need a lot more helicopters. There's a lot more people on this island. Claire and Owen have arrived at the monitoring unit. They enter through the Innovation Centre. This movie definitely does look like it cost a lot of money to make. It does not look cheap. It is not my favourite Jurassic movie in the series, but it was I definitely think it looks expensive. I know some people claim that the previous Jurassic movie looked very cheap. That was Jurassic Park 3, of course. Claire and Owen, along with Zack and Gray, have entered Henry Wu. They have entered Dr. Henry Wu's lab, and Claire, along with Owen, Zack and Gray, have got a lot of surprised looks on their faces, as if to say what exactly is going on here. What has Henry Wu been up to? What has Dr. Henry Wu been up to? The thing is, though, Claire runs, she's definitely the manager of this place. She does not own Jurassic World. I think that's the Masrani Corporation. But Claire does look rather surprised. I don't understand why, though. If you manage the place, surely to goodness you would know what one of your workers is doing. She knew the Indominus Rex was being put together by different types of DNA from other animals. But yet when she is in Dr. Henry Wu's lab, She kind of looks horrified as, look at this stuff. I can't believe this. What has been going on here? How can you not be aware of this? So Vic Hoskins, our villain, is still alive, but I'm pretty sure I don't think Vic Hoskins is going to make it to the end of the movie. I think Blue, the Velociraptor, will have something to do about that. Vic and Blue are face to face. This is quite a violent scene. Vic has had a lot of his arm bit off. A lot of blood splatter took place. He died off screen, but he definitely died. There's no doubt about it. Blue the Raptor got that guy. So here we have a little cameo in the form of a hologram of the legendary Dilophosaurus. We have the human characters, Zack, Gray, Owen, Claire. They are being surrounded by two velociraptors. Now there's three. There is one velociraptor at the front, two velociraptors at each side. Claire. We're getting a lot of expression from Claire. The camera is focusing a lot on Claire, Owen, and Blue the Raptor. People are clearly very nervous here. Can Blue be trusted not to go in for the kill? So Owen has removed the little monitoring device that was attached to Blue, and it seems to have made Blue very happy. The Indominus Rex has decided, okay, I want a little more screen time if you don't mind. And Blue has now looked at Owen as if to say, can I just try and beat this thing? This thing borrowed one of my video games and it did not bring it back until a week later. So for some reason, the Velociraptors have decided that they will attack the Indominus Rex and not the humans, even though the exact opposite was what happened earlier on. That's very inconsistent. If only Vic could see how unpredictable these velociraptors are. But then again, he did get killed by one, so he's probably not going to be a velociraptor fan, dead or alive. Owen has decided to use his gun to try to shoot the Indominus Rex, while the velociraptors jump on top of the Indominus. Nothing actually seems to really be harming the Indominus at all. This thing is just my goodness, what is it going to take to bring the Indominus Rex down? I mean, if you were to point 5 army tanks at this thing and fire them, what would happen? In this movie, the Indominus would probably find it funny. It would probably tickle the Indominus Rex. So as the Indominus is spinning around in its fight against the raptors, the tail is banging into buildings and ornaments and features and stuff like that, and stuff is being destroyed, and there's a lot of debris flying all over the place, and it's heavy and dangerous. It's very intense. It's very intense. Claire and Larry are communicating with each other. Claire has made a request. Larry has asked, are you kidding? What does Claire want? She wants a specific paddock opened up. Larry cannot believe the request. Why, out of all the paddocks, do you choose this paddock? Why this paddock, Claire? Oh, Claire, why? Why this paddock? Do you know what's in there, Claire? Oh, Claire. Claire does know what's in there. It's a Tyrannosaurus Rex. From the first movie, of course, yes. And as anyone who has seen this movie will know, Claire will outrun the Tyrannosaurus Rex while she is wearing a pair of high heels. I would not mind seeing a Tyrannosaurus Rex wearing a pair of heels. That would kind of be quite funny, I think. So, of course, flares are a big part of the Jurassic franchise. We're getting a little flare cameo. I did say flare cameo, not Cher cameo. So do not be expecting Cher to appear in this movie. The flare, not Cher, has been thrown over there so that the T-Rex can take down the Indominus Rex so that we can all relax. Sorry guys, I just had to do that. For all you fans of the Tyrannosaurus Rex who were horrified in Jurassic Park 3 when the Spinosaurus killed the Tyrannosaurus, you might feel a little bit better because the Tyrannosaurus Rex basically just smushed a Spinosaurus skeleton into pieces. Just as the Tyrannosaurus Rex approached the Indominus Rex, it destroyed the skeleton of a Spinosaurus. Claire is getting caught up in this huge fight. The music that is playing now is very intense. Owen, Zack, and Gray are also in danger because now they are getting caught up in the fight between these two huge animals. The Indominus Rex is definitely doing a lot better than the Tyrannosaurus Rex. We hear a velociraptor noise, as well as some music from the Lost World Jurassic Park. So Blue has decided to jump on top of the Indominus Rex. The Tyrannosaurus Rex has decided that it is not finished in this fight. There's a lot more to happen. The fight is not over. That final bell has not rang. There has been no knockout, no tap out, no final whistle. A lot more destruction is happening in the fight. A lot of buildings are being demolished. It looks cool. It's impressive. Definitely a lot more action in this movie, I think, than any of the previous 3 movies. We've had 4 movies, well, 3 movies after this. The first movie of the second trilogy, that's what this is, this movie. So the Mosasaurus has decided it wants to make an appearance. It is not just happy with eating sharks, it wants to eat the Indominus Rex. And that is actually how the Indominus Rex is taken down. Not by weapons, not by Tyrannosaurus Rex, not by Velociraptor, but by Mosasaurus. Blue and the Tyrannosaurus Rex are looking at each other. They both make a little noise. They then go off in their own separate directions. There's a lot of calming music being played now. Owen and Blue are looking at each other as if they're about to stick their tongues down each other's throats and hug. I'm very glad this movie did not go down that road. But I do think Owen was looking far too affectionate at that Velociraptor. It did make me question, actually, what exactly is going to happen here. Did Owen get a little bit too close to Blue? Is there too much of an attachment? It kind of looks like there is. Thankfully, though, we did not get that horrific vision that I had. Laurie leaves the control room, the monitoring room. He takes along with him a little toy dinosaur. think it was a Brachiosaurus he decided to take. We are now getting the survivors, the people who we really did not get to know. Everybody is off the island. Families are coming along to look for their loved ones. Very similar to the end of Titanic, the Titanic movie by James Cameron. Of course, there has been a few Titanic movies. I think the mother is called Karen. The mother of Zack and Gray is called Karen. So the Velociraptors were, they proved themselves to be very unpredictable. Colin Trevorrow and Chris Pratt have always said that Owen, in his background, Owen was brought in to help train the Velociraptors because Owen worked in the Navy as a dolphin trainer. So he worked in the Navy as a dolphin trainer. And in the Jurassic World, or in the Jurassic universe, if you are a dolphin trainer, then automatically you should be able to train Velociraptor. I'm not sure if that's how it would really work or not. So we're getting another trip back to the island. This time, of course, no humans are there. Well, no living humans anyway. And we're getting some of the good Jurassic World music. This movie did have its own theme. It did not just recycle Jurassic Park theme by John Williams. The Tyrannosaurus Rex is on top of the helicopter landing pad, looking out at the sunlit kingdom that it will, I'm sure, take control of. The credits are here, directed by Colin Trevorrow. And Jurassic World, the movie, has finished. If you are looking for characters like Dr. Ian Malcolm and Dr. Alan Grant, you are going to be disappointed. Jurassic World was definitely a product of its time. 2015. It was the Jurassic movie that started the tradition or the craze of there being a huge fight at the end of the movie between two huge animals. The characters are not as likable or as memorable as the characters from the original trilogy. I think that all Jurassic movies are watchable. I can watch any Jurassic movie at all. I can watch them all. But if I had to sort of have a tier list, Jurassic World would be at the bottom of my list of all the Jurassic movies. That does not mean I cannot watch it or I think that it is terrible. It is just at the bottom of a list of movies that I think have all got good things about them. So thank you, folks, if you joined my Jurassic World commentary. And I would like to know your thoughts. Any of the questions that I asked in my commentary, please feel free to let me know what you think. And if you want to give me some advice or constructive criticism about how I do my commentary on movies, please let me know. Thanks, guys. See you later.